Every CEO should be more like this leader. He leads with heart, not control. Kind, consistent, emotionally intelligent. He has more emotional intelligence than half the executives on LinkedIn. He owns his mistakes. He changed an entire culture with marmalade and manners. Who am I talking about? Paddington Bear.
If we're kind and polite, the world will be right.
Hey! Fatal miss. Spot the pattern, name the twist. Thought too fast, felt too deep. Found the signal you couldn't keep. Yeah, the signal you couldn't keep. They see it first, they say it clear. What you missed is why they're here. Chaos connectors. It's not a mess, it's how they map. You call it chaos, they're good with that. Chaos connectors.
Welcome to Chaos Connectors, the podcast where bold claims meet weird logic and neurodivergent brilliance. I'm Romina Massa.
And I'm Ryan Saleston. Between the two of us, there's ADHD, autism, dyslexia, dyscalculia. We call it our biggest strength, connecting the chaos.
Every episode, one of us makes a big, weird, sometimes unhinged claim.
And then we take you on a chaotic, meaningful ride to explain how we got there. Pop culture meets brain science meets way too many feelings.
And today's ride is extra cozy. Let's get into it.
Okay, so here's the thing. Paddington Bear is the leader we all say we want, but never promote. He's kind, emotionally intelligent, he owns his mistakes, and he changes systems, not with power, but with consistent values. Paddington doesn't lead from a title, he leads from impact. That's real influence. And in Paddington 2, we see the full arc, from misunderstood prisoner to cultural catalyst. He changes everything around him. He shows up with joy, consistency, and empathy.
Let's do this. Let's take it apart.
All right. So we're just going to kind of talk about the things that Paddington does as a great leader. The first thing is he puts his values over ego. You see this with his consistent value of kindness, fairness, and care. That's what drives Paddington. He loves his family. He wants to do good. And those are really the things that make Paddington wake up in the morning and want to be the good bear that he is.
Yeah.
And in this movie, Paddington 2, you see this contrast because you've got the Hugh Grant character, Phoenix Buchanan, and he is all theater. He leads with his ego. He wants admiration and not connection. So in this movie, you have this really amazing example of two very different types of leaders. One who is all about show and themselves, and someone else who's just showing up and wanting to make the world a better place, wanting to make people happy.
Right. But then who do you see being successful and being the actual leader and really running the show out of these two characters?
Yeah. So it's interesting because they're both after the same thing and they're after it for different reasons. Paddington is the one who's actually leading people. He's able to change an entire culture of a prison because of the way he just shows up with his values and his leadership. And it's not that showy leadership that Phoenix Buchanan, the Hugh Grant character, would be
Right.
showing up with. How many times we think of that as leadership? How
Right. The
present
flashy
yourself.
CEO, the keynote, the big stage, and that kind of appearance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love the fact that we're talking about Paddington, and I just want to make the caveat. We're talking about the second movie, but let's just remember that this started from books that are
Mhm.
old, right? Like I grew up with Paddington and I'm 43 years old. And like these are books that I had throughout my childhood in Europe. It's just like the fact that he's still current and leading the box office with
Yes.
this kind of message is just something that I love to see. And that's just something that I want to know that, when you said the episode, it's about Paddington, I'm just so happy we're doing this because he's an awesome bear. And he's connected to Peru, which is my home country.
And he's an outsider in all these,
He's an outsider, just like us.
and able to make a change in systems where he is not seen as like everybody else, which I think is a really powerful thing to say
Right.
in these stories, is able to show up authentic and make a change. When you're an outsider, you feel like you have to conform and you have to fit in to everything. And really, here he is being that outsider and being himself and the world around him starts to change just because of what he's putting out there. So does it always work in the real world this way? Not always, but I do believe that if you are a leader that shows up like Paddington, you will make a cultural change.
We know that he values over ego.
Mm-hmm.
So how does this happen in the prison in particular?
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with the movie, first of all, watch Paddington 1, watch Paddington 2. You can pick up on Paddington 2 and just start. But we're going to do some spoilers.
This podcast is full of spoilers.
Yeah. But I don't think it's going to hurt anything. It's not going to impact your experience watching Paddington 2 because I'm not going to do it justice. So Paddington gets framed for something he didn't do and ends up in prison. And it's that typical prison thing where everybody's mean and rough. He's walking into a culture that is not ideal for that bear. So he's very fish out of water. He makes some mistakes. He puts a red sock into the wash and dyes everybody's outfits pink.
Oh my gosh.
It doesn't get a lot of friends for that, as all the prisoners are wearing now pink.
Oh my
Pink
gosh.
and black striped. He's making mistakes, but still consistently showing up as himself. He's not conforming to this culture. And he finds a place of leadership through marmalade.
I
And
love marmalade.
he goes, this is what I have to bring. And that is really what a good leader does, is they don't.
And
Yeah.
the socks are so metaphorical, right? Yes, he dyes everybody pink, but he's also the one bringing color in there, right? In this bleak world, he's also the one painting it pink and bringing the color in a not just figurative way.
That's right. Yes. And he could easily, being the bear that is framed for this thing, he could be resentful. He could judge the people who are in prison. How
He could
different.
blame them. He
Mhm.
could blame them for his situation.
And he doesn't. He really assumes best intentions.
He sticks to his values
He sticks to his values. And that's
of
really,
kindness and fairness and then justice and just honesty and authenticity.
and then there's Knuckles, the chef, who's everybody's afraid of. This is the guy who's running the prison, and everybody's scared of him. He's the cook. So Paddington goes without fear and with his values, confronts Knuckles. And in that, Knuckles sees some value in him, in his marmalade, and they start making marmalade together. I really like that Paddington, now we talk about him being kind and we talk about him being polite, but he gets angry about when he's being mistreated. He's family
Right.
movie. He's very human for that bear.
Very human.
So I love that he has these moments where he's getting angry and he's getting frustrated and he goes and he tells Knuckles off, and because he's not doing the right thing. And
Still sticking to his values.
he's sticking to his values. He gets angry. He gets frustrated. It's
Real.
And it's so true to leadership, and it's so true to what it takes to be a leader. Sometimes you're going to get upset. Sometimes you're going to,
Yeah.
especially if you're sticking to your values, sometimes your values are going to get pushed around. When he has anger, it's because people aren't treating each other well. I think that's part of why this is so perfect for what it takes to be a leader.
Love that.
Leading from the middle. That's what he's doing here. He doesn't have the authority. He's just another prisoner, but he has influence.
Mhm.
And that's really what it takes here in this moment, where his positive influence changes the entire culture around him. He makes a connection with the person who's kind of in charge, which is Knuckles. And then he is also just able to slowly win people over. And eventually you see this change where they've got tablecloths on the table and they're having little sandwiches and the guards are getting along with the prisoners and people are being nicer to each other because Paddington has shown them a better way by leading by example. What more do we want from a leader than to just lead from example and change culture through actual values?
The role models.
Yeah. He's an
Sorry.
amazing role model.
Yes, exactly. So actually change culture through action, right? And make a real, true impact.
Absolutely.
I like that. I like the idea of making an impact as a leader in a way that is not individualistic and it's not just about yourself. He never leads from a hierarchical position, right? Like he never sees himself as better or as above as anybody else. He celebrates everybody for who they are, for their uniqueness and for their individuality, and still manages to stand out as a leader because of how true to himself and his values.
Absolutely. Yes. It's contagious
It's
when he does.
contagious.
It's so,
Exactly. He's a role model. He is the leader that we love but never promote.
so going back to the Hugh Grant character, Phoenix Buchanan, that sort of performative. A lot of times in workplace cultures, we put people into leadership roles that are performative more than they are authentic and value driven. I think that's why this movie works so well for when you're talking about workplace culture and leadership, because you have those two characters. They both want the same thing for very different reasons. So they're both in this movie, they're both trying to get this pop-up book. Paddington is trying to get it because he wants to give it to Aunt Lucy. So he's trying to give it as a gift because he wants to share something. Phoenix Buchanan wants the pop-up book because he knows that on this pop-up book is a map that shows you where treasure is.
The profit.
He wants to get his own one-man show funded so that he can be in the limelight again. So they're both pursuing the same thing for very different reasons. And that, if that's
Right.
not a metaphor for leadership, where you can have the same
Exactly.
person going for the same position for
You want to
very
lead
different.
for others' benefit, or you want to lead for your own benefit?
Right. If we change that pop-up book to the promotion or the next leadership role in the organization, are you promoting the person who is trying to get that position to make things better for other people and to see things better? Or are they trying, or the Phoenix Buchanan that are just trying to get the next thing for themselves?
For
And
themselves.
Phoenix Buchanan shows up as very polished. He's an actor. He's literally an actor. Everything is fake about him. It's all about him.
I see it.
And so much of, I think so much of leadership and what we value is we have to ask ourselves, are we looking for the Paddington or do we actually have a
Exactly.
Phoenix Buchanan? You've got two choices there. And the Paddington is not going to show up as polished and as good
Exactly.
as the Phoenix Buchanan. But the idea is, are we valuing theater over actual value-driven leadership?
Love that. And I think leads right into this, the metaphor
Yeah.
about the Christmas morning gift. The idea of showing up with a thoughtful gift because you want to give joy to others versus showing up on Christmas morning like, what did I get? What did you get me? What's my present? Which is also the difference between a grown-up and a kid. Like,
You would hope.
children are out there.
You would hope, right?
You would hope, right? That usually it's the kids who are there like, what'd you get me? What'd you get me? I didn't get anything for anybody because it's not my responsibility. Like I don't operate like that. But that's just not what it happens. But I just, like you said, the core of toxic leadership that comes with the selfish motivation.
Talking about the actual just giving this book is that difference in leaders that we elevate. Are they the sort of person who is going to show up on Christmas morning excited to give gifts?
Exactly.
Or are they going to be excited to receive the gifts?
receive gifts?
The Hugh Grant character is really good at performing. As, he would be like, oh, I'm, doing this for everybody. But you have to dig deep and kind of go, what's really going on here?
I just love this bear. I see it. And this is the leader we all want. The love the bear in a duffel coat, which, by the way, when I was little and I was living in Switzerland, I was like 2 years old.
Mhm.
My parents got me a duffel coat that looked just like Paddington's. They used to say it was my Paddington duffel coat. That duffel coat went on to be worn by my sister, then by my 2 children. I just recently saw it on my sister's kid, who is 4. We've all worn the Paddington duffel coat, which is like a family
Aw.
heirloom, and it's just a blue duffel coat, looks just like Paddington's.
I love that. Had
Yeah.
when I was a kid, I had a stuffed Paddington Bear
A
with the little,
stuffy,
it had
me
the,
too. I had it too.
And
I kept
in
for a
this-
long time.
in this Paddington, I believe was about children during World War II. it was a story based on that, where Paddington
Oh,
was sent away from
I
home
remember that.
and had to adjust. That's where the stories came from, was about a bear that was doing the same thing that a lot of these kids would do. And so the duffel coat and a tag on it that they would send them off on the train. So he's always been this character that has comforted. And I just love that they took it in this modern direction and kept the spirit of that.
I love that.
So to kind of sum it up, he's not just that bear in the duffel coat.
No.
He's really redefining leadership. And Paddington reminds us that culture is built by one small act at a time. If you want to lead, you want to be someone people trust and not fear.
Right.
So you want
Well,
to be
yeah.
be more like Paddington. I don't know much more to say. No.
Be more like Paddington is really the takeaway from this. I think that is so crucial. To me, I've not been in a job interview in years where my answer to the question, what do you value most, hasn't been trust, right? I think trust at work is maybe the hardest to find, but the most valuable to have when you do have it.
Yeah.
When you have leaders you can trust, and when you have leaders who trust you, if that means to be more like Paddington, I'm all for it.
Yeah. When you know your leader's values and they know your values, trust follows. And when people show up as leaders who are authentic, like Paddington, trust is there because Paddington's very vulnerable. He shows who he is and what his values are. He does not hide those. That becomes someone who even these prisoners start to trust, who are not inclined to trust anybody because he is authentic and because he's himself and leading with best intentions. It doesn't mean he doesn't make mistakes. He owns his mistakes when he makes them, which makes him just that much more trustworthy. He shows up for people consistently, but he's not a pushover either. When his values are on the line, he'll push back. And I think that's the amazing thing. And I love this bear. I love this movie. If you haven't seen the movie, watch it and tell me if I'm wrong. I think I
You
am.
sold me. Be more like Paddington, everyone.
We need more Paddingtons. And that's it. That's all. We're
And
like
that
Paddington.
is all. So that's it for this episode of Chaos Connectors. If you liked it, share it, rate it, leave a review. Basically, help us get this thing into more ears.
You'll find links in this episode's description, including where to subscribe, follow us. If you've got any thoughts on this episode, send us a message. We might feature your feedback next time.
I was thinking, I feel like changing the outrageous claim that I have to make for the next episode to something more outrageous and more unhinged.
Yeah, let's have some fun.
I'm Romina Massa,
I'm Ryan Salestead.
and this has been Chaos Connectors. Chaos Connectors.
Spot the pattern, named the twist. Thought you fast, felt too deep. Found the signal you couldn't keep.